A research vessel slices through the dark blue waters of the Coral Sea. The crew of scientists stare at monitors. There's tension, not fear, but expectation. A kind of quiet certainty that land will appear, that maps do not lie. They step outside and see nothing. Just waves, open ocean, blue, endless, and empty. On November 22nd, 2012, the RV Southern Surveyor reached the location of Sandy Island and found only sea. Sandy Island wasn't supposed to be just water. For over a century, it appeared on maps marked by sailors, catalogued by cartographers, even believed by Google Earth. It was there, plain as day, a black speck in the Coral Sea. And yet, standing on that deck, the scientists were staring into a glitch in our global memory. The first mention came in the 1870s. A whaling ship, possibly Velocity, reported land in that general vicinity. No formal confirmation, no surveys. By 1908, Sandy Island appeared on British Admiralty charts. From there, it spread to French naval records, to Australian atlases, to academic mapping databases. The island appeared because it had already appeared. That's the curse of cartography. Once a place enters the record, it tends to stay. Even in the satellite age, Sandy Island lingered. It was never photographed, never visited, never confirmed. But it persisted because maps copy maps. Each chart trusted the last. Each new database inherited the error. No one double-checked. One scribbled report, passed through decades of ink, becomes a fact. A shape in the ocean becomes a truth, if enough people believe it. But the ocean plays tricks. Mirages shimmer on the horizon. Floating volcanic pumice can look like land. Even the shadows of clouds can deceive. Out there, perception is everything. Sandy Island wasn't a hoax. It was a memory, a ripple of belief hardened into record. When the Southern Surveyor reached the location, they knew something was off. No landmass, no shallow reef, no floating debris, nothing but deep, untouched ocean. They circled, they triple-checked. GPS, sonar, satellite overlays, all confirmed the same conclusion. There had never been anything there. No mistake, just absence. In the early 20th century, map makers weren't using satellite data. They relied on ship logs, hearsay, and inherited documents. Errors weren't discovered, they were passed down. Each repetition strengthened the illusion. Paper maps became canon. To question them required evidence few had access to. A single error becomes belief. Belief becomes data. Data becomes truth. Until the ocean disagrees. Sandy Island was not unique. The oceans hold dozens of these ghost islands, phantom lands reported once, mapped forever. There is High Brazil, said to appear off the coast of Ireland once every 7 years. Thule, a mythical island north of Britain. Zeno Island, Isla Bermeja, Davis Landell names once carved onto maps, now erased. So, why does this matter? Because it challenges something deeper. How many places on Earth exist only because we expect them to? And how many vanish the moment we look too closely? Sandy Island wasn't hidden. It wasn't erased. It simply was never real. The revelation caused a stir. News outlets picked it up. Scientists rechecked their maps. Geologists scratched their heads. Even Google, after quietly removing the island from Google Earth, issued no official statement, as if to say, we're not wrong. The world changed. Next came the theories. Some believed it had been a misidentification of floating pumice volcanic rock, buoyant enough to mimic land. There are records of pumice rafts stretching for miles after Pacific eruptions. Others suggested something more deliberate. In times of war, false islands were planted on maps. A decoy, a phantom to mislead. A ghost island in the right place could disrupt shipping routes or confuse enemy submarines. Maybe Sandy Island was a Cold War relic. Maybe it was born out of strategy, not mistake. But in the end, none of the theories stuck, because there was no physical trace, no proof of trickery, just a blank space where belief used to be. Maps were once works of art. Now they're data products. But the same flaw remains: human certainty. What if we've been labeling and teaching entire generations based on repetition alone? What if we've trusted things not because they're real, but because they're familiar? Sandy Island wasn't one mistake. It was many, layered, amplified, left unquestioned. People need closure. We fear blank spaces on maps, in memory, in meaning. So we fill them. Better to draw something than leave nothing. The crew circled the coordinates again, checked every readout, every overlay, every echo. There had never been land. They came looking for an island. What they found was a hole in our certainty. Think about that. If one island could exist for a century without being real, how many more might be out there floating in the shared hallucination of our past? And what does that say about the maps in our minds? The ones we trust the most? Sandy Island was erased, quietly. But the question lingered. How did it stay hidden, in plain sight, for over 100 years? Because for decades, maps weren't tested, they were inherited. No one wanted to contradict what came before. A map wasn't just a tool, it was a reassurance. To delete an island meant admitting we didn't know everything. And we hate the unknown. We draw what we fear. We name what we don't understand. We fill the silence. But sometimes, the silence is telling the truth. Sandy Island's disappearance wasn't a catastrophe. It was a correction, a small one, but one that echoed across science, geography, even philosophy. Because it reminded us, perfect knowledge is an illusion. We live in a digital world, with pixels, precision, global tracking, and satellites watching every corner. And yet, we're still haunted by old ghosts. The maps we carry are not just of land and sea. They are maps of belief, of trust, of assumption. Sandy Island never existed, but it was believed. And belief printed, passed, reinforced can shape the world. So, if you find beauty in forgotten places, if you're drawn to the ghosts hiding in plain sight, to the whispers of things that almost were, then keep watching. There is more out there. More stories that were nearly lost until someone looked twice. New mysteries every week. Right here, subscribe. Because sometimes, the places that never existed teach us the most about what it means to know anything at all.